music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, so someone will probably make one up for us. I don't want to name any. Rachel, I hope it's Rachel that does that for the podcast.
Yay! Such professionalism. God. This is episode 26.
26.
Welcome to episode 26 of Michael and Benjamin's podcast.
We're back in the tiny room.
Back in the tiny room. I am your co-host Michael of Michael and Benjamin. I'm here with Benjamin of Michael and Benjamin.
Hello.
Hello, Ben. Ben.
Yes.
We have had actually several tweets.
Several tweets?
Yes.
We must be getting big, are we?
No, we're getting medium.
Are we heading towards our inevitable rock and roll split where we get back together 10 years from now and have a big
reunion tour?
podcast?
Amazing. No.
That's a shame.
We are instead being asked a single question by a single person.
Okay.
On Twitter.
Yes.
His name is Jack the Squirrel Master.
Jack the Squirrel Master.
No, it's not. It's totally real Mike.
Ah, excellent.
Totally
I had so
real.
many questions about the Squirrel Master.
No, look, it's a long story. Totally Real Mike wonders what we thought about Thor. You hosers.
Mike, your classic Canadian suave charm.
Yep.
Just lilting over the airwaves. Well, Mike, the good news is, if you want to know what Michael and I thought of Totally Real Thor, you can check out our channel where we have a little bonus review.
A bonus review.
Where the two of us basically just fight to control our undeniable love of Thor.
Yeah, because
Ragnarok.
it was very good.
Because it's very good.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Lots of people disagree.
Who?
They're bad eggs.
Which bad eggs disagree?
The internet people.
Fuck the internet people. God! That's one. That's one. Sorry,
Go on.
I am going to try and stop cursing, Michael, because I know it upsets you.
Well, it doesn't upset me.
But it does somewhat hamper our ratings. And I'd like to try to be a better podcast co-host.
Let's say...
Because you're the Victorian gentleman equivalent compared to my ragamuffin street urchin equivalent.
Let's do what films do, right?
Okay.
Films are permitted one fuck.
But I used it so soon.
Yes, but we'll have 3.
Oh, cool.
Three
That's 2
per
gone.
podcast. We're down 2 now.
We're down 2, so I get 1 more.
1 more.
Excellent. I'll take it.
And yeah, now I can't say never mind. I was going to make up a new name for the podcast, but now we can't say it
Because we took that away.
Yeah. So, yeah, Thor, it was good.
Yeah,
it was
it was
very
really good.
successful. Looks like it's going to make its production budget back this week.
And then it'll start.
And then it's pure
Raking
profit.
in that money.
Pure profit, baby.
Money. Taika Waititi must be very, very happy. I've enjoyed some of his comments. Have you seen some of his press stuff?
Yes, he's...
Okay. I'm going to have to step outside. But this is outside the rule because I'm directly quoting.
Yeah.
I can say what I fucking want.
Yeah.
It's my release weekend.
Yeah, he's great.
He's great.
He's a very funny man.
I can say what I fucking want. It's my release weekend.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
At a Directors Guild of America awards dinner or
in
something.
front of quite a large assembled amount of people who are in the know. But given the current state of Hollywood, the dignity has already left the room. So
yeah, poor old Hollywood. Do you think Taika Waititi's going to be implicated in some sort of bad egg type of situation?
not anywhere near the length or scale of what seems to be happening. I mean, he's gonna get a yeah, Taika Waititi sent me a dirty Tinder message once.
Because he's from New Zealand.
And to be fair, he probably sent quite a witty dirty Tinder
Yeah, it's
message
probably quite amusing.
that may have gone over the heads of the young lady that received it. I don't know.
All of her heads.
I think he's married, isn't he? He's not.
I don't know. It's not the Taika Waititi's Life podcast.
Well, it should be.
Ben,
Anyway.
Justice League. Have you been keeping up to date?
I don't want to.
Okay, why not?
Michael, it just seems that they're just stuffing everything together and there's no pacing and...
Well, you haven't seen the film yet.
I know, but I don't think I need to see the film, Michael. I think I can judge this based on a track record that has quite frankly left me bereft of any kind of hope.
I saw a good tweet today, and it was a picture of Iron Man, then Civil War,
Ooh.
then Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh.
And it said, imagine if the Marvel Cinematic Universe had been launched in this order. and you have what DC have tried to do.
Oh,
Makes sense.
pretty good.
There's I don't know if you've been watching the clips they've been releasing, but they have shown the almost the whole clip of when Wonder Woman is breaking down the bank robbery at the beginning.
Oh, is that where she's watching it with Alfred?
No. Well, possibly. It's hard to tell when things are done weirdly. But anyway, the mystery man who's leading that attack on the bank or building society or whatever it is Rats from the Flats. He's an Irishman in space.
No way.
It's him from out of Game of Thrones. Lord Bolton.
Oh, no way.
Bruce Bolton. So that means there's now 2 Irishmen in
That's
space.
2 Irishmen playing villains.
Yeah. And they've also released a lot of footage of Steppenwolf.
They're doing exactly what Thor Ragnarok did.
Go on.
Because Thor Ragnarok has pioneered that kind of new Marvel wave. They've just been releasing chunks of comedic scenes between characters, and it's been working out quite well for them.
Yeah, but he's another big, grey, armoured man.
Oh yeah, he's Ares too.
Yeah.
He looks very similar to Ares.
He's a big, scary grey man.
Yeah. Yeah. Doomsday, Ares, big, scary grey men in space.
Yeah. Or
and
on the Earth.
And Pantheon. Space and Pantheon. Spantheon.
Good banter. We'll probably do a review of Justice League.
Look, you get a different co-host that week.
Oh, all right. I mean, the internet.
That was too quick.
The internet has been crying out for that.
That was too quick. That was too. Well, I'm hurt now.
What about Benjamin? What about Stranger Things 2? Did you see and/or enjoy it?
I have not seen it, but I have been playing the free downloadable game on my phone.
The what?
There's a free downloadable 8-bit game in the style of an 80s arcade game called
yeah?
Stranger Things. It's completely free. There is no hidden traps for pay.
This sounds like an ad. Are we doing an ad?
No, it's just a really cool little...
Have we been sponsored by Netflix? If you're holding out the sweet
I
Netflix
wish.
money.
I wish we were sponsored by Netflix, but it's a little 8-bit Stranger
look at
Things
that.
game in the Pokemon style of things.
Oh, you go
Where
and
you
catch
play
monsters?
different characters, and it has a little 8-bit soundtrack.
That's not really picking that up.
Also,
Cool.
yeah, it's quite cool. But no, I've not seen the series.
Well, look, I won't spoil it. It starts slow, but it's very good.
I hear episode 7's a wee bit controversial.
Well, it is. It's an episode.
It's okay.
It's away from the main plot. It's a side episode.
Oh, it's a side ep. Oh, I don't know how I feel about those.
If you wanted, it could be a backdoor pilot for another show.
Oh, boo.
But it is to Stranger Things what Aliens was to Alien.
Oh, okay.
There's more monsters. There's a bigger threat. It's more serious.
Okay.
It's not just one spooky monster. It's more
The Demogorgon is no longer
the main. Well, there's lots of Demogorgons.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, it's not what you want, is it?
That's not what you want at all, because
There's
it
loads of them.
nearly killed her the first time
Yeah.
she took one on.
Paul Reiser is in it. He's also in Aliens.
Oh, yeah, he's
And the TV show Mad About
spectacled
You.
individual.
Yes, it's good.
I'll go check it out.
Sean Astin is in it.
I liked the first one. I just didn't understand why people raved about the first one.
It was good, but it wasn't
No,
spectacular.
but I think, oddly enough, for Stranger Things Season 1, I think it just introduced a lot of people to good sci-fi.
Maybe.
And they were like, whoa, this is mind-blowing. It's like, well, we've seen this before.
Actually, one of the characters in Stranger Things Season 2 is told the events of Season 1 to catch her up with what's going on.
Fair.
And she says, it's pretty good, but I mean, it's a bit derivative in places.
Nice. Okay, so
So they,
she's literally a character written by Ben.
yeah, they recognise that. I thought it was great that Sean Astin is in it.
He's a little gem and stuff.
He's Samwise Gamgee, isn't he?
He is, but he's usually a little. He's a good little fella to chuck in there.
In his 50s now, I'd say.
Is he?
Wouldn't he be?
Oh, Jesus.
The great thing is, though, you have Sean Astin from The Goonies.
Oh,
And
no way!
You have Paul Reiser from Aliens.
Does Brolin make an appearance?
No, but Steve, the character Steve,
Yes.
who you might remember, he's evolving into Josh Brolin's character from The Goonies, basically.
Fair enough.
So I just thought it was great that they had these two actors from the two most
Iconic,
obvious influences, because the two most obvious influences on Season 2 were Goonies and Aliens.
Absolutely.
It was like The Goonies meets Aliens.
It's exactly that.
And there's the Goonies and there's the alien, the man from the Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow,
that's good.
so it was nice. They got all the nods in all the right places.
Now,
All the right nods in all the right places.
peculiar. It's a peculiar song.
You've
You've just done there. Speaking of TV, Ben, it's time for our least popular segment.
Oh, fuck. That's the last one gone. It's so worth it.
Thanks for giving me a clean edit there. Just inserted I inserted the soundtrack. Look, I don't really want to talk about Inhumans anymore.
Yes!
It's really dreadful.
Yes! I am going to lift the ceremonial tiny room spanner above my head in the international tiny room sign of supremacy. I win.
It's dreadful. It's really bad.
I told you.
It's just...
I don't know why you waste time on it.
Almost... Well, Ben, I'm all in on the whole Marvel Cinematic look.
I know, but they've really screwed you on this one.
They really have.
They bench over barrel.
It's the worst thing. Did you get a text message?
I did, but I don't know who it's from.
Oh, have a look. Just read it out live on
as
air.
in there's well, it's quite a nice text message. Well done, Ben. There's nothing you can't do.
Oh.
But I don't know who it's from. I don't have the number.
Could be anything.
So it's quite positive. There's two ways of looking at it. It could be someone who's very embittered, being like, well done, Ben.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can't do. Or it could be, well done, Ben. There's nothing you can't do.
Did you direct the TV show The Inhumans?
Does that sound like dialogue from the Inhumans?
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. Look, I'm not even going to recap it anymore. Just suffice it to say, it hasn't redeemed itself. They had a moment where, if you remember... Do you remember the great twist from the Inhumans comic?
Yes.
The great twist from the Inhumans comic was that Black Bolt knew what was going on the whole time.
And it was a big elaborate plan.
And it was all he wanted Atalan to be destroyed so he could secretly move it to the moon.
The moon.
And he needed everyone to think that it was at
It
risk
was
of being
gone.
destroyed.
Yeah.
So their kind of concession to that in the show, you knew about this all along, you backstabber, why didn't you tell me? Was he had a secret bunker and he knew Triton was alive.
Oh.
Look, it's shit. We're not talking about it anymore. Move on!
Okay, goodbye to that segment.
Ben.
Then bye segment. Cool.
You have a popular new segment that you'd like to
I
introduce.
do. The segment I'd like to reintroduce is, why would you do that?
Okay.
I don't have theme music for it yet, though, because I'm not musically as gifted as thee. So it's a very simple segment.
Mm-hmm.
Comics are a very silly thing.
Sometimes they're very grown up.
And this segment is pretty much a love letter to all those moments that make me go, why in Christ's name did somebody greenlight that?
Okay.
How do you feel about Netflix, Mick?
I'm generally a fan of Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix is pretty damn good. How do you feel about Netflix writing comics, Mick?
What? Are Netflix doing comics?
They're going to start a comic. Would you like to know who's going to headline their first ever series as Netflix comics?
By headline, do you mean the character?
No, who's going to write and illustrate?
Oh no. Oh, this could go anywhere. Hold on. Right. So first of all,
Pick the worst
no, hold on.
team.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I genuinely don't know. First of all.
Yeah.
Is it? So I'm just going to pick the two worst people: Kevin Spacey and Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein is going to write it.
No.
With the ink he should have used to sign his lawsuits.
Real answer: Jeff Loeb.
No.
Scott Buck.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're
No.
So
You can choose from the Michael and Benjamin's Rogue Gallery.
Oh, it's Miller.
Yes, it's Miller. So Miller is the writer. Do you want to guess who the? I can't say it anymore. But who the ing artist is?
Who the drawing artist?
Yeah.
Someone you don't like, obviously. It'll be the man Liefeld. Is it Liefeld?
Yes, it's Rob Liefeld. So and do you know what it said? In the press release, they said we have the best comic team ever. Mark Miller and Rob Liefeld.
You see, you've missed it. Say that again. But no. Say we have the best comic.
We have the best comic team ever,
and we're not letting them go unless you buy this comic by Mark Miller and Rob Liefeld.
Yeah. So that's my
What's the comic going to be about?
I don't know. They haven't released that much because I doubt Mark Miller or Rob Liefeld know what the comic's going to be about.
Probably about big, muscly men raping people. Like,
just to show that they're villains, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big. Oh God. Rob Liefeld's muscles taking someone without their consent. Oh, God.
That's not great.
Oh, that's
And they're releasing a comic. Is this a dig at Marvel? For...
I don't think it's a dig at anyone. I think it's just a natural kind of... I think...
We're into streaming media, so now we do comics?
Well, I think online comics are taking off big time. With
Oh, it's an
regards to
online
subscription.
comics.
Yeah, it's going to be subscription based, where you have access to the database.
Oh.
I don't think they're going into print. I think they're going into digital comics.
Oh.
So it will be interesting.
I won't look at it.
I am going to keep an eye on it, simply so I can mock it effectively. And because I used it in my inaugural segment, which is why...
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Yeah, so by the way, if anyone ever wants to comment on something that we do, please let us know the things that infuriate you about comics, and I will look into them and hopefully relieve myself on the ashes of their burning effigy.
Or let us know what irritates you about the podcast, if it's Ben, not if it's me.
Nice.
Good.
Well played.
We have another new segment.
Yes.
The new segment is called Ben's Late Reviews.
Yes.
Because Ben, let me give you some backstory here. Ben is a cheapskate, and he doesn't like seeing films when they come out in the cinema.
That's not true. I just like seeing them with people.
He doesn't like. He's a cheapskate and a misanthrope. I
am that.
And he prefers watching films on his own in a darkened room, several months after they've
Meepskate. Misanthrope.
Oh, good. Tell us what out of date films have you seen this week?
I saw the new It.
The new It. Right?
The new It.
Yeah.
Very silly.
I thought it was great.
It's not bad as a film. Like, it's quite well made as a film. It's a nice homage. But he's not very scary.
He is.
Nah, that last scene. Spoilers
For a bloody 40-year-old story.
Yeah, Losers Club, last fight scene in the initial saga.
First part.
Yeah, part one.
Yeah.
Very silly.
No,
fight.
it's not silly.
Very
They beat
silly.
the crap out of him with iron
It's
bars.
very silly.
It's not. It's horrific.
Very silly.
He turns into a big
There's
spider
nothing
monster.
horrific about it. He turns into half a spider monster.
Yeah, it's cool.
And he slams his pincers down.
Yeah, and then she stabs the thing down into her dad's mouth.
Yeah, her molesty dad?
I think he was only molested because it had
Made
possessed
him
him by
that.
that stage.
Oh, he was possessed and turned into a molesty daddy.
Not necessarily possessed, because it doesn't seem to
But he
flat out
pushes
possess you.
urges.
Yeah, he influenced. So he was influenced. The same reason that adults don't notice,
Yeah.
because he was well.
They don't notice anything that he does.
Yeah, in the book at least, it's heavily implied that her dad got molested because of it.
Oh, okay. That wasn't as heavily implied in the
No,
film.
I think
They missed that particular...
I don't know if it was the film or the actor or the director. The actor played it a bit molesty from the beginning.
Yes, he was a molesty dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, thought it was good. Nothing wrong with it overall.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't think he was particularly scary as an It.
Mm.
Also, not at all enticing towards children. Like,
The clown.
okay, let me put it this way.
Uh-huh.
If you look at Tim Curry It,
Yeah.
Tit, if you will,
Tickets.
he's quite clowny in that if you were a child, he would not terrify you away. So when Georgie sees him in the sewer, you don't go, ah! You go, oh, what's a clown doing down there?
No, you go, there's a clown down there.
Fair enough. Depends on your feelings towards clowns, I guess. When you see Bill Skarsgård, no, not Bill Skarsgård, which,
Yeah,
it is Bill,
yeah.
Bill Skarsgård's It in the thing, you go, nope! No.
But that's
He's
exactly
creepy.
That, exactly, good.
But then also the dance was very silly.
I like the dance.
The dance.
Where he kind of danced and the world moved around.
Yeah,
him.
the world moved around.
I thought that was great.
Very silly.
Doesn't this version of It look a little bit like My Cat Taylor?
No.
Take a look later.
Oh no.
You'll see it.
Oh no.
What else did you see?
Anyway, it was pretty good.
Wait, better than Power Rangers or worse than Power Rangers?
Oh, better than Power Rangers.
Good.
Not that hard. Then I saw Valerian, City of 1,000 Planets.
City of 1,000 borings.
It was so bad.
I know.
Still not bad. Just pointless.
Yeah.
Just rambly and pointless and
Why was
Pearl
Rihanna-
people and
Why was Rihanna in it?
why was Rihanna in it?
What a
Why
waste
did
of-
she was bad? The 10 minutes I got of Rihanna and Dane DeHaan. Dane DeHaan?
Dane DeHaan.
Dane DeHaan had more chemistry than the entire film of Cara Delevingne and
Delevingne.
Delevingne. Although, has changed my mind on Cara Delevingne.
I told you.
Yeah.
She's kind of fine.
I would have watched her without Dane DeHaan being cocky.
But he can't do cocky well.
He can't at all. He has nothing to back it up.
No. And...
he's very not traditionally attractive.
yes.
And he acts like he's some kind of smooth, charming... and it's just like... it looks like he's... it looked like he's straining to... I don't know.
What was that? It's like your stomach.
My internal stomach. He looks like he's mildly breaking a sweat in every scene, and it's very unbecoming.
He's also very small.
He's very small. There's that one scene where he throws his shirt on, and I think it's supposed to be kind of smooth, where he's like putting the... you know that scene where like Chris Pratt loses his shirt and he puts one on, or Chris Hemsworth... a lot of Chris is going around.
Yeah, Chris Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans losing his shirt, putting it on, or chopping wood in front of Tony Stark in a very tight sky blue. First, take a Chris.
Yeah. Take
his shirt off. Have a quick scene where he pulls one on. Mm-hmm. That always looks good. There's a six-pack. There's some pectorals that do a nice V. Mm-hmm. It's real nice. Dane DeHaan tries it, and I swear to God, it's like a 2x4 got a shirt.
Yeah, he's very skinny.
He's very skinny.
He's very slight.
Like,
did you notice what I said about Cara Delevingne, that her performance was actually alright, but very inconsistent.
On her own, she's great.
She seems to be playing a different character in every scene.
The ingenue scenes are very off-putting. Where she's made to be attracted to Dane DeHaan.
For some reason. Like,
he's not charming. He's not... The love subplot is just very forced.
Should have been Chris Pratt.
Why? I think it was just because he probably has his own space opera going on.
Yeah.
It was very bad. And very... The Pearl people forgiving us. Like, I was just like...
the Na'vi of the sea.
The Na'vi of the... oh, wow. I didn't even think of that.
That's what they were.
That's what they are. Yeah. But it was just like, we advanced our entire race in 30 years. And
it manages to be stunningly derivative and yet pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And with a budget that size, you probably could have done something quite good.
Yeah. Better or worse than Power Rangers?
Ethan Hawke was the best thing about it.
Was he okay?
As a weird gay pimp. Mm-hmm. Weird gay, not gay pimp.
Camp pimp.
Camp Kimp. Camp Kimp the pimp. No, worse.
Worse than Power Rangers. The Red Power Ranger is the human bad guy in Stranger Things Season 2.
No!
Yeah, isn't that great? Oh. Ben, we've had a tweet.
Yes.
It's our main topic for this week.
Oh, cool.
Our tweet is from Polka.Sundays.
Ah!
Official fan of the podcast.
Official fan of the podcast. Polka.Sundays.
Yeah, our fan. She's not going to like that.
No, she's not.
And she asks, hey, handsomers. That's us.
That's us.
Yeah. Which character or superhero do you think best sums up each decade?
Ooh.
Good question.
Let's do the time warp again.
Yeah.
So,
I think we'll talk about that then.
Yeah, let's
talk about that for 25 minutes?
Absolutely.
How many decades do we have? Let's start in the 30s.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 decades.
Yeah.
In 30 minutes.
I can do that.
That's 3.5 minutes per decade. So this is going to be quick.
It's going to be quick.
Let's start with the 30s.
Okay.
The roaring... No, it's not the roar. What are the 30s called?
The sobering 30s.
The sobering 30s. Who do you think summarizes, condenses the 30s?
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel? That's an interesting choice. I chose
From
Superman.
DC. Yeah, well, he's the classic example. I avoided the classic example. The reason I chose Captain Marvel is he's every little boy's dream. He's a little boy who gets to shout the word Shazam! And then, if only...
Well, Ben! You've become a superhero!
I'm not very big and very American. No, stop! Evil doer. No, he is every little boy's dream, in that he is a little fella that gets to use a magic word and turn into an adult. If I had to recast it in a nice 80s version, it would literally be the same cast of Tom Hanks' Big.
Tom Hanks would be Shazam?
Yeah. Big. Shazam.
Yeah,
Tom Hanks being a kid superhero.
Look, I think Zachary Levi was a good choice.
For Shazam. Yeah, he's the new...
Chuck from the TV soap.
Is he going to be a CW?
No, he's in the movie.
Oh! Yeah. That's big.
It's big for him.
That's big. Oh, did you hear he threw a little bit of shade at Marvel?
Did he?
When he got it, he goes, the original Captain Marvel. And just like chucked it out.
Who was the original Captain Marvel?
I know, but you understand why it's a little bit of You know, you could have just said Captain Marvel, but it would have been confusing. But it's like it's an honour to play the original and best Captain Marvel.
Oh!
Yeah, so there's a little shots
That's
fired.
Probably because they killed him off in 30 seconds in Thor Ragnarok.
Who?
Zachary Levi.
Who is he now?
It's Fandral. The blonde.
Is that him?
We literally talked about this a week ago.
No, wait, hang on. We never said that was Zachary.
We did.
I had no idea that was Zachary. I loved Chuck. I thought Chuck was a great show.
It wasn't him in Thor 1, but it was him in Thor 2 and 3. They changed him and no one ever noticed.
No one ever noticed. That's a shame.
But I think that's a great cast.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Anyway, I chose Superman.
Of course.
You can't not choose Superman.
Yeah, why not?
Superman is the 30s. You
Why
got your Superman, you got your movie serials, you've got your Fleischer cartoons.
Absolutely. Fleischer cartoons, they're so good.
I don't know if they're from the 30s.
They're.
But they're styled like the 30s. And
so good.
when you think about the 30s, it's Superman. Like
Yeah.
I see what your point is, but let's move on. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. 40s.
40s, the raging 40s.
Go ahead.
The really quite shit 40s. I don't know what it was called.
The human rough period.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, you want me to
Yeah,
go?
you go first.
Well, it's easy, isn't it? 40s. It's Captain America.
It's Captain America. Well, I didn't choose Captain America.
You didn't?
I chose the JSA. I cheated. No, that's podcast gold. I chose the JSA.
Okay.
You pen-thrown child.
You're going to have to explain to most people what the JSA
exactly.
is.
The JSA is the Justice Society of America, and it was kind of like a prototype Justice League, which had the original Wonder Woman. She was on it. Had Hawkman. Had the Atom. The original Atom, who was actually a superpowered small person. What's the politically correct term that we use?
Yeah, small person.
Small person. He was originally called a midget. Not by me, by 1940s comic books. Okay. Superpowered him. It had the original Sandman that DC later bought the rights to.
Oh, the one
Gas mask wearing, pistol shooting.
later bought the rights to.
No, Fawcett Comics originally owned the JSA.
Did they?
Fawcett Comics, yeah.
But then why was Wonder Woman in it?
Because she was originally part of I think.
It sounds like a bench
I'm not
retraction.
sure. Hang on. Okay, hang on. I can't check it. Anyway, possibly wrong on the DC one. Maybe she was added to the roster a little later in the 40s after it was bought over by DC. But originally it was Sandman, the Atom, Hawkman.
Was the Spectre in the JSA?
The Spectre was in the JSA occasionally, much more Catholic version of the Spectre, who was actually God's right hand. And also, of course, the one that they use all the time, which is escaping my mind. No! It's gone.
What?
Green Lantern. The original Green Lantern.
Alan Scott.
Alan Scott.
Allergic to yellow.
Allergic to yellow.
Was he allergic to yellow or was he allergic to wood?
He was wood. He was wood, because I remember he got wood foes. He's got wood. Worked it into the zone.
Yeah, look,
I
chose Captain America.
Yeah, it'd have to be, wouldn't it?
It's Captain America. It's propaganda. What do you think of when you think of the 40s? You think of fighting Nazis, propaganda,
and socking Hitler in the jaw on the cover of Time magazine.
Exactly, socking Hitler in the jaw. The war effort. Stamps. Blonde supermen.
Love a good stamp. That weren't working for the Nazis.
Right. How interesting. So Captain America was and always will be the 40s.
The 40s
in my opinion. The interesting thing about Captain America, as a kind of famously, he's a superhero out of time. And the kind of cool thing is the original Captain America run was in the 30s and 40s.
Yes.
And then he disappeared and came back in the 60s.
Yes.
So in the original stories, he was only frozen for about 20 years. So when he was a man out of time, he wasn't really that far.
He was a little out of step.
But now, he's nearly 100 years out of time.
Yeah, we can do a lot more with him now.
And the great thing about his origin, the whole Frozen thing, is he doesn't need to be rebooted every couple of years. You can always have him
frozen and found.
Exactly. Whereas Tony Stark, I think, has been injured in the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Iraq.
Oh, they just moved the war?
Exactly.
Okay.
He was from the 60s, so it must have been the Korean War originally.
Yeah,
and
I
the
guess.
latest movie, he was injured in Afghanistan. So they have to keep updating it.
The war. Oh, well, don't worry. America will keep picking fights, so Marvel will never have a problem when it comes to rebooting Tony Stark.
Oh! 40% of our listeners are from America.
If you want to take me on, that's fine. You can do it in the comment section below.
Yay!
Unless you're an actual veteran, in which case I'm not besmirching your service to your country. It's nothing like that at all.
It is. That's exactly what he meant.
No, it's not.
He did a wink when he said that.
No, I didn't.
So, Ben,
Don't you imply winks.
let's talk about the 1950s.
1950s.
The Roaring 50s.
The Roaring 50s.
I really should have looked up what the decades were called before we did
The
this.
swinging 50s? Is it the
No.
swinging 50s?
Swinging-
No, it's the swinging 60s.
Yeah, no, we're not there yet.
Shukra. Yeah, Batman. Batman fits the whole noir hard-boiled thing. It's a good slot in.
Ah, is that the 50s?
That's the 50s. Noir hard-boiled. End of the 40s, 50s.
Gumshoes,
Gumshoes.
hats.
Dames.
Interesting.
And Batman's greatest weakness is women,
Oh,
as a general rule.
I thought it was bullets.
Yeah, lead. I always remember that exchange. Did you ever read the comic where him and Superman have a discussion? He goes, Superman is like, I can't believe there's one mineral that can lay me low and make me weaker than anything and put me in the ground. And then Batman says, I go up against that every night. It's called lead.
Oh, yes.
it's so Batman-y. It's just like, suck it up, Clark.
Who said that?
Batman says.
No, but who wrote it?
Oh, I think it was Loeb.
Was it?
I think it was Loeb.
I heard it and I immediately thought that had to be Kevin Smith.
It could have been Kevin Smith as well, but it was. I do that every night. It's called lead.
That's very
And
good.
I was just like, oh god.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this earlier, and the 50s are hard
They are.
because the 50s were kind of the valley of popularity of comic books and superheroes.
Absolutely, there were no more war stamps to sell.
The war stamps were gone. Other genres became more important.
Yeah.
So I've chosen a strange one.
Ooh.
It's not really a comic character.
I'm excited.
Look, I've chosen the Wolfman.
Ah, from Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because
The Dark Universe.
the original Dark
The
Universe.
original Dark Universe.
I don't even know if this is very much a 50s thing, but for me, it's a kind of. It always looks like a blank period in comic book history. It's between
it's a bit bland.
It's between what people call the Silver Age and the Golden Age and the Silver Age, and
It's the mud years.
yeah, and it seems like during that period, what was in was cheap horror.
Yeah.
Your creatures
Pulp.
from your creatures from your Black Lagoons.
God bless them.
Your Wolfmans, your the Mummies.
You're tired, you're huddled, you're Wolfmans.
Yes, exactly. I don't know where I've stolen that turn of phrase from. It's Colin Farrell. I've stolen that from Colin Farrell in Intermission.
You're right, all villains here.
You have to get your utensils, your woks, your juicers.
That's it.
So your Wolfmen,
We're
your
such
mummies.
pastiches of our own land.
So yeah, that's who I've chosen. It's a hairy man in a
Pretty
lumberjack
good.
shirt.
Watched a really interesting video the other day where they said it's a real shame that the Dark Universe tanked because technically Universal did the original crossovers where
Yeah.
you had Wolfman versus, I can't remember what the video was. I think it might have been Patrick H. I want to say Wells, but I don't know. I'll find the video and
Are you
link it
thinking of
below.
H.G. Wells?
No, I'm not. No. He does video essays.
Yeah, well, I mean, crossovers weren't such a mad concept, and then it disappeared. And then when Avengers rolled around, it became
Whoa! What's this crazy thing?
But even in your pulp genres, crossovers had always kind of lingered. You had your Freddy versus Jason. You had your Alien versus Predator.
Horror's never really let them go, sure doesn't.
No, it
When
doesn't.
sales are down,
Yeah.
take two dwindling franchises and smack them against each other
And
until something happens.
Stick Kelly from Destiny's Child into it.
Oh yeah.
It's actually a surprisingly good film.
Is it?
Yeah.
No way.
She sasses Freddy Krueger. It's pretty good. I'm not afraid of you, so you can't do anything to me. Let's talk about the Roaring 60s.
We covered this. It's the swinging 60s.
Oh, it's the swinging 60s.
Yes, the swinging 60s.
We should have had some music for the sections.
No, because we got copyrighted for that last time.
Oh, we did.
We got a little infringe, a little smack on the wrist from the gang.
Can't do that.
Yeah, 60s, drugs, sex, rock and roll,
Yeah.
acid, So I really think that
Acid.
the one I chose is very simple. Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
I think Doctor Strange is a wonderful choice for that because it's all the colours of the rainbow. If you've ever read any of the stories from that area, he just walks around other dimensions with his wife Cleo, having groovy times, man, and saving the universe one cosmic conundrum at a time.
Are you thinking?
Yeah. No, I didn't go full Austin Powers because I was like, yeah, baby. I didn't feel it.
What would Austin Powers sound like if he was the Sorcerer Supreme of the universe?
Wow, this cat's crazy. No, it's not like that. Who is that?
I don't know.
Who am I making fun of?
I don't know. You've gone. It's not Austin Powers.
It's not Austin Powers at all. Who was that, listeners? Let us know.
Who was Ben becoming?
Was it Shakin' Stevens?
Maybe it
Is that
was.
what Shakin' Stevens sounds? It sounds like a Shakin' Stevens type character. Anyway, Sorcerer Supreme, tripping through dimensions. The colours are all over the shop. He wears a giant blue blouse with a large collared
So hold on.
cape
I'll let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish.
and some tight
I'm gonna
suede
let you finish, Ben. But first, I want to address the way you've pronounced that word.
blouse.
Blouse.
Blouse. I don't know.
Okay.
Is it blouse?
I always thought it was blouse.
Blouse?
Ladies' shirt.
A lady's shirt. Well, he wears a big vampire Lestat looking shirt
Yeah.
that's dyed bright blue. He's got some black tight pants on, also blue leather.
Yeah.
Never really said. Wears
Good
a
man.
big old gold medallion.
Right.
And has a big flowy red cape, and he wanders around the dimensions being like, yeah.
That's just so incongruent. That doesn't make any sense. Why is he Austin Powers?
No, he's a really bad Austin Powers impersonation.
That's very good.
Yeah, anyway.
I have chosen a group rather than a single character.
Yes.
And I'm starting to realise now that a lot of my choices may appear to be I've just chosen characters who were invented in that period.
That's fine.
But I haven't. I was thinking about the 60s.
Yes.
Then. And for me, the 60s is the era of bands, groups,
Yes.
the Beatles,
Yes.
the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
But it's also American families and radiation,
Nuclear dysfunction.
nuclear dysfunction, the beginning of space exploration. So I have chosen the Fantastic Four.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect choice.
Because they're space exploring.
They're the original nuclear family.
Yeah. They showed people's fears about what could radiation do, what were the dangers of heading off into space. I was thinking about this earlier, and almost all of our choices are inevitably going to be American.
Well, they defined comic books from that era.
Exactly.
I mean, to be fair, you can't discredit Italian comic books in the 50s, and you can't discredit French comic books in the 60s, but in terms
Or
of...
British comic books in the 80s.
Or British comic books in the 80s, but in terms of massive cultural shaping of how we view comic books today, America takes the biscuit, or takes the cookie,
So I
as I should
think
probably say.
because they're so 60s, that might be one of the reasons that the Fantastic Four have always struggled with...
They belong to that era.
yeah, people don't necessarily want to watch a show about
Have you read Legacy?
Marvel's legacy.
The new one,
No.
the Legacy. There's a whole scene where Johnny and Ben are on the roof of the Fantastic Four building. Johnny Storm is alive again. I'm not sure when he came back, but he came back.
Good.
And he just says, "I don't know, Ben. It just feels like they don't need us anymore."
Exactly.
And then Ben Grimm turns and
Wait,
he goes,
what
"Oh, kid, you big it's like you big palooka or something like that. You know, some ridiculously Ben Grimm thing." And he's like, "They'll always need us, even if they don't know." And then there's a big Fantastic Four symbol shot into the sky.
And they go and help.
And they're like, "Look, there it is now." I don't know why he's like a mix between Jack Kirby and Stan Lee in my head.
Yeah,
but he
that's what it
absolutely
was.
is.
Who was Johnny
He
Storm
absolutely
again?
is.
Do Johnny Storm again?
Johnny Storm is just a casual, happy-go-lucky American teenager out to have a good, clean time.
That sounds like one of your other characters.
Ryan Reynolds.
It's
Slightly influenced by Ryan Reynolds, I'm not going to lie. But it's Ryan Reynolds mocking that type of character, because
Okay.
he does that quite a bit. He's
Yeah.
like, "Gee, you think I could?" He does that whole thing
Yes,
quite well.
he does.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
There's the 70s.
The 70s. The raging 70s. What was the 70s called? You overshot your limit.
The superior 70s?
So what were the 70s really called?
Sorted 70s.
This is the thing, right? It's
Sticky
hard.
70s.
The sticky 70s. What? Don't tell us your character yet, Ben.
Okay.
But what do you think when you think of the 70s? Don't tell us your character.
White men thinking that afros are okay.
Uniquely specific. I said disco. That's what I said. But yours is funnier. Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I think of when I think of the 70s.
So hold on, let me guess then who you chose.
You won't.
A white man with an afro. Is it that fitness guy? You know the fitness guy, the little guy.
Oh yeah, the little guy
the little happy guy.
the yellow tank top.
He's always doing the fitness,
But he doesn't look that fit.
yeah, that is him.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not him.
Who is it?
It's Roy Harper, the original sidekick of the Green
Roy Harper.
Arrow,
The Arsenal.
who became Arsenal but was originally Speedy.
Speedy.
And the reason that I chose him is he marks a significant turn in the way that comic books were written at that time by Neil Adams and Dick. I'm not going to get the name right. Giordano. Anyway, Dick.
Did he have an afro?
Dick G. No, he didn't.
Any of the three people you've mentioned?
No. Well, apart from fitness guy.
Oh yeah.
Dick G is what I'm going to call him.
Okay.
Because I can't. Was the editor at or at DC for a long time. And he and Neil Adams kind of pioneered a style of comic book writing that was a little bit darker. Batman's big turn towards the Dark Knight came around this time, and it was written by
Richard Simmons.
It wasn't Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons is the fitness guy.
Oh, okay, it's Richard Simmons. I was like, and in this particular run, spoilers, it turns out that Roy Harper is a junkie.
Yeah.
On the heroin.
Doesn't he get the AIDS?
He does get the AIDS, but that is retconned later because you can't really have a superhero running around with the AIDS. Apparently, it's not okay.
No.
But anyway, Oliver Queen finds him, kicks him out, in a very conservative 1950s kind of way, like, get out of this house, you filthy junkie. Zero compassion, just boots him.
Like you with your son.
And so, yeah, well, I've had several. But I wish they'd just stop going to the needle. Admittedly, I shouldn't leave them lying around. But, you know.
Oh, a drug.
But, yeah. Anyway, he represents a very, a much darker period in DC Comics history. It was also when they introduced the Black Green Lantern, who was originally quite a zealous, righteous kind of Black Panther style character.
Ah, John Stewart.
That wanted nothing to do with. He just got back from Nam. He had served in the Nam. And he came back to an America that still didn't want him, and he was a lantern, and he struggled with his duty, and frequently used his Green Lantern ring to avenge black people as opposed to uphold the law.
Wow.
Yeah.
Waveforms
Our waves
changed
are
a bit
slightly
there.
off. That's
What's
not.
happened there? Oh, no,
No, they're okay. They're okay.
So for me, the 70s is disco,
Richard Simmons,
Yellow
tank tops,
and exploitation. Oh,
Can I guess?
Yellow tank tops and
Can I guess?
Go on.
Is it Luke Cage?
No. Ha! Gotcha.
Darn it!
Exploitation. A little bit more horror.
Yes.
Blade.
Oh, good choice. Good choice. Is this Blade when he used to wear a green open neck shirt?
Exactly.
Nice.
Not Wesley Snipes' Blade.
70s
Green,
disco Blade.
70s disco, Jerry Curl, stakes, not a vampire.
Yeah, he's full
Just a
human.
normal man.
Going
Blade.
out hunting bloodsuckers.
Literally hunting actual Dracula because at that stage,
Oh!
Marvel owned the comic book rights to Dracula.
Nice.
So he was a modern,
Congratulations, Marvel.
a modern Van Helsing.
How did you steal?
Well, they didn't own the rights to him, did they? Sorry, what I meant to say is Dracula is public domain.
Yeah, because it's... Oh, of course.
Yeah, so they still have a Dracula in Marvel at the moment. He was a big part of the last big event.
Yes, when Shikla, Deadpool's wife, overturned the underworld. No.
Yeah, something like that.
Are we talking about two different things? I give up on big events. I don't like them anymore.
So, yeah.
Why have we gone down again? Is it you?
No, it's not me.
Okay.
You're alright. It looks fine.
Okay, fine.
The 80s.
The 80s.
The roaring 80s.
Oh, God.
So name some things.
AIDS. Oh, your face!
Oh my God! Oh, that was funny.
Conservative economic policies.
Yes, Wall Street.
Rubber-faced presidents.
Yes, rugged independent individual.
Well,
Are you just going to speak over me?
well,
What are you doing?
I feel that America would really benefit from some sturdy economic
You
policies.
sound like the alien from American Dad.
Well, it's not that far off.
Are you Richard Nixon?
I'm Ronald Reagan.
Was that Ronald
That's
Reagan?
Ronald Reagan. Well,
Reaganism.
Reaganism. Yeah.
So for me, the 80s is about rugged individuality.
Is that because you were born in the 80s?
Yes.
Ah.
Handsomeness. and grim and grittiness.
It's the beginning of the Adonis complex, don't you know?
Yes. So it's about big muscly men who are independent and rugged and individualistic.
And a throwback to the 1940s woman-beating kind of man.
Yeah.
Who slaps a woman, or a dame if she doesn't speak no sense.
Exactly. So who did you choose?
Well, I was originally going to go for the classique
Yeah.
of that era, which is, did you choose him?
I don't know.
I'm not stepping on your...
I don't know.
No.
Wolverine. That was a good bit, actually, wasn't it?
That worked quite well. Batman. Mark Miller's no, not Mark Miller. I just hate writers with Miller as their second name.
Frank Miller.
Frank Miller's 1980s Batman, which is a commentary on New York's ever-growing crime rate and general sense of lack of safety in cities. But I didn't choose him. I chose another Frank Miller run, which was Daredevil, which I feel is a more restrained commentary of the one he was trying to make in Dark Knight.
I see your point. I don't agree with you on this one.
Fair enough.
Because I don't think that Daredevil has the cultural penetration of almost every other character we've named. I think Daredevil is probably the least well-known character that either of us have mentioned this whole time.
Shazam?
Maybe Shazam. But Shazam would have been massively popular in the 30s and 40s.
Fair enough.
I have chosen Wolverine.
Schnicked.
Yeah. Murdery.
Is that snicked? Is it
Schnicked.
Snicked?
Murdery superheroes.
Murdery.
Grim and gritty.
Murdery.
Hairy men.
Very hairy.
Short hairy men.
Pursuit.
Aggressiveness. It's just Wolverine. Like the beginning of... He's probably the most modern, ultra famous superhero.
Yeah.
Superman, Batman, Wonder
Cigar
Woman.
smoking.
Yeah.
Woman bedding.
Yeah.
Carpet chested.
Yeah.
Abdomen rugged.
You can keep going. You've run out.
Sideburns sporting.
Let's move on.
Mutton chub.
Let's move on, Ben.
Masquerade.
We're running out of time.
Anyway, 90s.
The roaring 90s.
Yeah. Spider-Man 2099.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
No.
Bill O'Hara.
Yeah.
Riley O'Hara, something like that.
Are you...
Gil O'Hara.
The writer or the...
No, the actual Spider-Man 2099. I'm not talking about Miguel O'Hara, who's occasionally called Gil O'Hara.
Probably not.
No, probably not. Anyway, perfect example of a flailing industry that was just like, put it in the future, give it a suit of armour, tech it up, see what happens.
Right.
Jerry Seinfeld, writing comics. Give him a suit of armour.
Stop, please. The 90s. The 90s are extreme. Extremeness. Lasers. Giant muscles. Pouches.
Oh, pouches.
You can't...
Love a good pouch.
You can't get over complication of things. Clones.
Yes.
Time travel.
Good.
So...
Who would it be? Cable.
It's Cable.
It's Cable.
Cable is...
It could only be Dr. Cable.
He's not a doctor.
I know.
He did not get his doctorate from a real university.
No.
That was fake news. I almost
Did you get it from Trump University?
No, I almost did a Trump impression there by mistake. Yeah, look,
Fair.
Cable is 90s. He's 90s condensed
He
into
is
a
the
character.
90s. No, he is the
Show-
90s.
big Mononym. Name that doesn't really relate to the character in any particular way.
At all.
He is...
Technology-based name as well.
Technology... kind of semi-technology based. He is the 90s.
Do you think if wireless had been big, then he would have been called wireless?
He might have been called wireless. He might have been called Wi-Fi.
Wireless with a Z at the end. Wireless.
No,
Yeah,
you've
definitely.
ruined that now. That's a bad bit. I'm going to edit that out. I'm going to edit that
I
out.
don't like that you figured out how to edit stuff.
I'm going to edit that out and edit back in that joke we did about the Batman song, but then it was Wolverine. Just did it twice.
Quite good. Repeat the bit. Yeah, fair enough. What about the 2000s? I struggled here.
The noughties.
The noughties, yeah.
The 2000s.
Yes.
Social media
Yes.
is starting to appear. Meta awareness.
Yes.
People by the 2000s were bloody 100 years deep in comic books nearly. And the character I've chosen isn't from the 2000s, but the 2000s is when he became particularly popular. It's Deadpool.
Yes, I chose the same.
You chose Deadpool?
Yes, I chose the same. It's perfectly
handshake.
little handshake, little.
My hands are
little
cold.
tiny- yours are very cold
Yeah.
compared to mine.
Yep.
Yeah, it's perfect. He's everything internet inspired, condensed into one human being. He's a human Tumblr,
Tumblr is more recent though.
human 9gag.
All right. Are you sure you argued there has made me think that Deadpool would be better suited as the character of now?
I have a different argument for that, but I'm trying to be controversial.
Okay. Right, go on. Do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to keep
Well,
talking
what
about
do we
Deadpool?
call this decade? What is this called?
The 2010s? The Roaring Tens!
We're back. We just looped. Fair enough. I've chosen Lex Luthor
For now.
for now.
Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor?
No, not at all. I've chosen. Have you ever read either of the one-shot series that Brian Azzarello did with Lee Bermejo?
No.
He did one called Joker, and he did one called Luthor.
Oh, yeah, I have
Man
read
of
those.
Steel.
Yes.
They're both quite good as little investigations into characters. The one in that is fascinating. He's a really delusional version of Lex Luthor who genuinely thinks he's saving the planet by taking on Superman. And I think that version of Lex Luthor is very present in comics at the moment. Comics are very fascistly aware at the moment and conservatively centered, whether they're critiquing it or not. And I think that version of Lex Luthor is very interesting because he's hyper xenophobic. He genuinely uses hate speech when he describes Superman in the Azzarello run. It's kind of fascinating. It's the first time where he doesn't go, "I hate you," just continuously. He's like, you filthy immigrant just coming in here and taking everything from me.
Taking our jobs.
But that's basically what he's saying, but about him. He's like, I was the man of tomorrow.
Oh.
You understand? Like, he was doing this whole thing. He's like, I could have saved the planet if only you hadn't turned up. And it's this amazing kind of delusional portrait, very Shakespearean, but awfully good. And I think it's oddly sympathetic of all the conservative experiments that comics are doing at the minute. Hydra, Captain America, for example. Brother Eye, Batman is back. Yeah, I just think it's an interesting thing.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did
Agents
a
of S.H.I.E.L.D.
run about if Hydra had won World War II.
Ooh.
And they basically created Trump's America.
Oh, that's not clever.
It was pretty obvious.
It's heavy-handed.
In that case, yeah, I get your point.
Yep.
I think that there's an undeniable champion of the 2010s, and it's a character from the 60s. But I think possibly might have been before his time. I think maybe like Superman, he needed an iconic movie to
A Christopher Reeves moment.
he needed someone to come along and embody him.
Nice.
For him to really penetrate the public consciousness.
Embody me now, penetrate.
Because
Settle down, Nick. Jeez.
we have a character who has entered public consciousness after 50 years of relative obscurity and is now one of the most popular characters in the world. Iron Man.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect.
And he's very much a character of now.
He was obscure.
He's a futurist. He's an arms dealer.
He's Elon Musk with a tash.
He's a bit of an Elon Musk. He's a bit of a Northrop Grumman. He's he's very
risque American commentary.
I know,
Thank you very much.
He's very relevant.
Yeah,
isn't he?
He's awfully relevant,
and he's undergoing a crisis of does he work for the government or not. I think it's interesting that he has entered. Iron Man has for sure entered the group of super famous superheroes. If you ask,
absolutely,
if you our parents are probably not the same age, but if you ask my dad's generation to name a superhero, they would have said Batman, Superman, maybe Wonder Woman,
poor DC,
maybe
They've
Hulk.
fallen so far.
If you ask kids today to name a superhero, who are
Owlman!
It's what? Owlman?
Owlman!
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 Do you have a speech impediment, young child?
After years of corrective surgery, I now speak like this. Iron Man.
Yes, it's probably Iron Man.
Do you know what I got thinking about quickly just before we cut off the time?
Wrap it up.
In our noughties 2000s extras rift, we've used moral grey areas as our character of the noughties and things, because it's just the era where people have been like, remember that guy you thought was good? Boom, dark secret.
But I mean, the moralist greyest area decade was the 80s for sure.
Yeah, I guess.
Because everyone was screwing each other over.
Yeah, I was looking at the backstabbing.
It was. I grew up in a recession, Benjamin.
Did you grow up in a recession, Nick?
There was a recession on.
I went through a recession in my teenage years.
Yeah, that was probably fine.
A recession.
Was that all right?
It's grand for me. I didn't
Yeah.
feel a thing.
See,
Minor pinch.
yeah.
Dad said I couldn't have $2.50 to buy some sweets.
$2.50.
Inflation.
You get the sweets you get in my day. Let's wrap it up there.
If you have anyone that you think represents a particular era in any kind of fantastic way, do let us know.
Yes.
If you know how to get in touch with Richard Simmons, do let us know.
No, don't. No, you don't want to. Why?
If you can think of any more nicknames for Wolverine, do let us know.
Yeah, or... Yeah, that's it. Okay, bye!
Bye!